Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm using my webcam's microphone again. I'm still waiting on those cables and stuff to get here. They should be here tomorrow, and when they get here, I'll be redefining all of my stuff. My cat's in my lap, if you can tell. So I've decided I'm going to do one of these little vlog things every once in a while, probably twice a week, twice a week. It's hard to tell because I figured out what's wrong with the camera when it's running Windows. It's because of the time of day that I'm recording these. It's, again, about 3:30 in the morning right now, so there's no daylight at all. The only light that you're seeing, there's a light up there, there's a light here, there's a light over here, and that's all the light you're seeing, aside from the ambient light from this monitor and the television. Hi, cat. Come on, turn around. No? Okay. Anyway, and of course LEDs behind me. So, when I start trying to do these during the day, this window is super freaking bright. Hi. And, it completely whites out the screen. But at the same time, the frame rate is just phenomenal because what it's doing right now, it's actually taking its time and getting an exposure. There you are. Hi. You want to say hi to the nice people? No? Okay. Anyway, so it's taking longer exposures because the ambient lighting is so low. I think the only way to fix that is to get better lighting in here. But I can't do that yet because that's going to cost money, and I just don't have that right now. I've got it, but not. It's for other things. I've got a lot of other stuff debts mostly. Anyway, sorry, my leg is really cramping up right now. Sorry, cat. I'm planning on seeing a doctor about this at some point. I just haven't gotten the physician in town that I want to see about it. His office hours are 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and my sleep schedule, as luck would have it, is 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that's not true. I actually go to sleep around 7 or 8 in the morning and wake up about 2. So my sleep time overlaps perfectly with his office times. So I have a hard time calling to schedule an appointment when I'm asleep. Excuse me. But that's what's going on with my leg. So if I, kind of during a video, that's what it is my leg is really acting up. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about cables. That's right. So I mentioned in my last vlog, my last video. Come here. Why are you? I mentioned in my last video that come here. Come here. Fine, then don't. That I have an Atari 2600 and an Atari and an Atari 5200. But the Atari 2600, I could not get the video to. Well, I went then on Thursday, which is when I started recording all these Star Fox videos, was Thursday. I went and tried to hook up the 5200 to play it as I was just going to do maybe a one-off thing. And the video on that kind of fritzed out as well. And I figured out it's actually the adapter that I'm using, because if you're not familiar, the Atari 2600 and the 5200, basically all the old consoles from that era, what they output was they had what's called an RF output, or radio frequency output, which is it hooks in where your antenna hooks in, because your antenna is also RF. It's radio frequency. It's picking up, at the time, anymore it's digital. I actually don't know how it works. I'm a licensed radio technician, and I don't know how modern television signals work. I can tell you how television signals in the 80s worked. And that's when these consoles came out, was in the 80s. And so they had this RF output, and the Atari 2600 and the 5200 specifically, the RF signal was produced inside the console. For the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then the Super NES, which also had an RF output capability. The Sega Genesis also had RF output capability. All of those systems, they had an RF adapter. It was a little, usually gray, it was black in the case of Sega, box that you plugged into the back of the console, and it allowed the signal that was coming out to be modified for a standard television set to receive it, usually on channel 3 or 4. And the Atari 2600, the 5200, did not have that externally. It was all internal. So all they have is a coaxial cable leaving the back of the console, which is really convenient until you realize that that coaxial cable uses an RCA connector, which is the same kind of connector that you would see on a composite video or a component video output. It is an RCA kind of adapter, which were really popular in the 90s and into the early 2000s. But in the 80s, they weren't all that popular, and if you recognize where your antenna hooks up into the back of your television, that's actually an F connector. It's a coaxial F connector, and on the back of the television it's female, and then the plug-in is a male. So you have to figure out, then, how to adapt this little RCA plug to your F input, which, it made sense because Atari then also sold little boxes that were signal, not really, it joined the signal from the system with the signal that was coming in from the antenna. So you had both going into the same input, which back then was what you had to do. It's still what you have to do, but I can manage with other things. Anyway, as a result of that, the signal going through that coaxial cable is the exact same signal that you would get out of an RF converter box or out of a TV signal. It's the exact same kind of signal. Nothing has to be converted or anything. It just has to be plugged in. But of course, because it's an RCA connector, you can't just plug it into the back of your TV. You have to have this adapter. Well, my adapter was homemade, and it's fritzed out. The grounding has actually come decoupled. So that's why it wasn't working when I went to try and get the video on Thursday. However, tomorrow, which is actually today, because it's actually now it's almost quarter to 4, rather. Oh my god. It's almost quarter to 4. So, it's Wednesday presently, and I think it's Wednesday presently, isn't it? I can't tell because this is Linux. I don't know this. Oh no, it's Tuesday. Sorry, it's Tuesday. Anyway, so today being Tuesday, is when the cables and this adapter are going to be here. So once they get here, I can test the connections and make sure that everything's actually working correctly. They should be working correctly. I'm pretty sure they will work. I just need to have the components of everything. So that's what we're waiting on, is the components. Anyway, I mentioned that I was trying to record this on Thursday. Thursdays are traditionally my day off. So Thursday is going to be the day when I sit here and play my video games. I may end up live streaming at some point. I don't know. Just for fun. Because I can't. Well, I should be able to. I don't know that I can. But I should be able to. And I think that would be a lot of fun. It would also help define this channel specifically as a place where I can do, other video game related videos. So it's not just a gameplay video. Right now, it's pretty much exclusively a gameplay video, which I'm fine with. That was the initial intent of this video, was to be, of this channel, was to be a gameplay style channel with a few occasional little videos here and there that were video game related, but not, exclusively gameplay. Well, this will help me. Well, it'll help me define the overall channel even better. I know I was going to say some other stuff, and I've been writing scripts for some of these videos. Not for the gameplay videos. The gameplay videos are going to be entirely unscripted. They're all going to be improv. I don't like improv, but again, as I said in my previous vlog, I would much rather improv when it's live gameplay, or, live gameplay, than have something scripted, because if it's scripted, it feels stilted. You can't play a video game and have it scripted, especially when, the video game has so many random components to it. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I've been having a lot of trouble lately with video conversion, compression, all that junk. The very first video I did, which was Super Mario Brothers, I used a program on my Linux box called Kino to do all of the audio mixing and everything like that. And obviously, if you saw that video, it was crap. The video itself turned out very good, the video, but the audio was terrible. You couldn't hear a thing of me over the frickin' game because the mixing was awful. And I couldn't alter the levels or anything like that. It was all straight, and it was like, I didn't much care for it. But then I remembered the very next day, literally the very next day, I remembered, oh yeah, I can download Adobe Creative Suite 2, because they released that for free recently. They don't, it's not free because they don't support it anymore. But because they don't support it anymore, they were like, here, have the serial numbers, have the licenses. We don't care who uses it anymore because we're not supporting it anymore. I had to adjust my chair here. I didn't want to move my chair while the cat was in my lap. Obviously, he's not anymore. But, while he was, I didn't want to adjust the chair. I've been rambling an awful lot, I know. But anyway, so I downloaded the Adobe Creative Suite, which included Adobe Premiere Pro. And I spent easily 10 hours on Thursday trying to figure out how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. It is such an unintuitive program, and it's so frustrating. But eventually, obviously, I finally created a video. It wasn't high quality. It was garbage. The audio sounded great, but the video itself, it's not garbage. Not at all. It was actually pretty good. But the video was actually highly compressed. And it could only be viewed at the highest resolution of 480 on YouTube, which for me, that's whatever. I'm good with that, because with my connection here, that's all I can get. I'm up in the mountains in the middle of freaking nowhere, New Mexico. We don't have very good internet access. Getting 480 resolution on YouTube, I basically have to sit there and let the video load for 5 minutes to watch a minute of video, because that's how awful YouTube's algorithms are anymore. I mean, yeah, YouTube's great, guys. Keep it up. Don't kick my channel because I badmouthed you. Maybe you should make a better fucking system. No, I just... I have a lot of gripes with modern programmers, but that's a vlog for another time. Anyway, got Adobe Premiere working, got a couple videos put out, obviously. You've seen, if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen all 5 of the Star Fox Adventures videos. I almost called it Star Wars, because I'm that tired. But anyway, yeah, I produced the first 5 videos with Adobe Premiere Pro, and it was okay. The video output was usable. It wasn't very good, but it was usable. And you had to really, you had to have the original video to know that there was a difference, to know that what ended up was bad. And what ended up was bad. I obviously can't show you right now because YouTube doesn't accept .ts files. It doesn't know how to handle them. Even though they're just MPEGs with a different extension on them, it doesn't know how to handle them. And actually, Adobe Premiere Pro doesn't know how to handle them either, even though they're just MPEGs with a different extension on them. TS is short for Transport Stream. It's the kind of file that my video recording software records. I've since set it to record straight to MPEG, which I'm crossing my fingers that this will work. I haven't actually tried it yet. I've been trying to get this stupid software to work in different ways since Thursday, and it's just been really, really flaky. There's one thing in particular that I've been trying to get to work, and that is I have a German PlayStation 2. And obviously, if I live in New Mexico, I live in America. I live in the United States. So the fact that I have a German PS2, it works, and it actually does output, but it outputs PAL, whereas everything I use is NTSC, of course, because I'm in the United States. This shouldn't be a problem for the software, because the software is what then takes the signal, recognizes it for what it is, and outputs the result to the screen. Well, the software that was written for this doesn't work that way. It doesn't work hardly at all, actually. But in order to get PAL to work, you actually have to reboot the computer before it will recognize that, or before it will allow you to use PAL as opposed to NTSC. Which is just dumb. I can't wrap my head around why they would do that. But the reason you have to reboot the computer is because once you start the software, it runs a program in the background that's just the TV server. And even when the TV software is closed, that TV server is still running, and it's always running. And you can tell it to, force it closed, but if you do that, of course, it doesn't save any of your information. It just closes. It acts as though the program has stopped responding and kills it. So in order to get PAL to work, you actually have to reboot the computer and restart the software. Now, I haven't tested it yet. This is just what their representatives told me, was that this is how you had to do it, which is, again, stupid as hell. And I'm telling this to everybody out there who programs video software, television recognition software, that kind of thing. There are two means of RF transmission for television that are widely accepted. There is NTSC and there is PAL. It's not that hard to have one over the other. The most difficult thing is going to be the frequency, because NTSC is 60 megahertz, and PAL is 50. I think that's right. I think it's in megahertz. I don't think it's gigahertz or anything that fast. But, or maybe it's just 50 hertz and 60 hertz, something like that. I don't remember. I think it is actually only 60 hertz or 50 hertz. That actually makes more sense to me. But I know PAL is 50, whereas NTSC is 60. That's the hard part. The other part then is, of course, that PAL has a different offset as compared to NTSC. So if you watch PAL on a PAL encoded video on an NTSC system, what you end up seeing is there's a offset for the top left corner. So the top and the left are then black bars because there's no data being encoded there, because PAL doesn't expect there to be any data encoded there. So it then just leaves those blank. And then the video, most of the time, if it's actually working, the video doesn't have any color. And it will also be scrolling because the vertical hold is very different. Because it's 50 hertz as opposed to 60 hertz. And that's actually a big difference. A sixth of the NTSC. That's a big difference. But really, it's not that hard to have something that can be interchangeable like that. Okay? I know it's not that hard, because SGI managed to do that. I actually have a computer that I was planning on using as the primary video recording computer, except that it actually doesn't have enough memory to do that. But I could play PAL games on that computer through its capture card. It was an SGI 02, which has a little capture card on the side that you can plug composite video into. You can't plug RF into it, which is unfortunate. But anyway, plug the PS2 in there and set it to use PAL, because that's all it needed, was for you to tell it, oh, this is a PAL input instead of NTSC. Because it's not stupid! Anyway. I know some of that is hardware also, and I can't fault them too much for it because some of it is hardware. But at the same time, it's like, really? Really? Anyway. So, eventually, I'll be having German PS2 games. Actually, I have German PS1 games also, which is the real reason I want to do this. I actually have a little converter box for PAL to NTSC, but it only works for PS2 games. The PS1 games actually had a different frame rate than even PAL standards. I think they have like 48 frames per second, something, really, really weird. And Sony did that to have proprietary signal on these games. So you couldn't just, make your own, which of course that was thrown out, right out the window as soon as people figured out how to make mod chips. But anyway, PS2 games went back to the PAL standard because there wasn't a reason not to. But the PS1 games, because they have a different frame rate, when they go through this converter box, like 5 out of 6 frames drop. So there's almost nothing that actually gets through. It looks terrible, and it's unplayable. So I don't even... I've not tried since then. But I've got a few German PS1 games, I've got a few German PS2 games, and that's the point I was trying to make, is that eventually those will also show up on this channel. It's a matter of trying to get the software to work, and I'll work on it Thursday when I have time. I was thinking originally, I mentioned before how I spent 10 hours trying to get Adobe Premiere Pro to work, and I've actually got it working fairly well now. I figured out how to get everything working so you get a nice, high quality, and actually high definition video of, obviously, something that was output as 640 by 480. Oh my god, this is almost a 30-minute episode already. But anyway, it took me a lot of time to get used to Adobe Premiere Pro, and as a result of that, I'm really glad I didn't do what I was originally planning on doing, which was having 2 games being aired simultaneously, you know, kind of like what the Game Grumps do, which is they have a game and then another game later in the day, and they have then 2 episodes concurrent. Of course, now they have 3 episodes of Steam Train, but that's something different. You know, at any given time, they're broadcasting 2 different games. So that's what I had originally wanted to do, and I'm really glad now that I did not do that initially, because they're just trying to get used to Adobe Premiere Pro has taken up literally all of my free time. So I've not actually had any free time except to sleep at all. Excuse me. But now, because I am getting used to Adobe Premiere Pro, because I am figuring out how it works, I can actually take care of easily 20 or 30 videos in one day without having to worry too much about it. So I may end up going back to my original plan of having 2 games, 2 episodes uploaded per day, one each of a different game. So you have a long-lasting game like Star Fox Adventures airing for a while, and then beside it you have either another long game or, more likely, a series of shorter games that then break up the monotony. Because, let's face it, Star Fox Adventures, as much fun as I have with the game, and as much fun as I have riffing the game, because I do, it's monotonous. The combat system is... literally, you're sitting there slamming the A button. Sorry, I've been talking for half an hour straight, so my throat's a little sore. Obviously, I don't have a drink here. But anyway, I don't want to have that feeling of monotony on this channel, so I want to break it up with, little short, maybe 1 episode videos or stuff like that. Maybe not entirely 1 episode videos, but, a series of shorter games. So, for example, I'm kind of debating, because, as I said before, I'm trying to get the Atari 2600 and the 5200 to work. I think the next, short game that I do is going to be one for the Atari 2600. I've just not decided which game I want to do yet. I think I might go with Secret Quest, but I might also do E.T. or even Jungle Hunt. I would do, one game I want to do at some point is Moonsweeper, which is a phenomenal game. If you've ever played it, you know what I'm talking about. It just, for the Atari 2600, it was spectacular. You can't imagine a game that good on a system that old. But it's very good. But my cartridge doesn't work 9/10 of the time. You plug it in, you turn it on, and it brings up the title screen for about a second, and then it dies. And I think it has something to do with contacts, but I'm not entirely sure. And I can't take it apart because it's an old iMagic cartridge. If you've ever seen the iMagic cartridges, they're impossible to take apart. You can't... Well, most of the Atari cartridges were impossible to take apart, but without taking off the label anyway. And this is no exception. But the iMagic cartridges, in particular, were very difficult to take apart. So, I can't take it apart to look at it. I can only hope that it's a contact problem. I'm going to keep talking and talking and talking, aren't I? This is a long-ass vlog. From there... Oh, sorry. This has auto balance and all that crap set. Because otherwise I'd look red because the lighting is just that bad. So this is auto-adjusting color balance and light balance. So when I go like this... No, that's not a good example like that. You see how it's flashing like that? That's because it's trying to balance when there isn't enough light. So it's producing its own light, which is then too bright, so then it cuts out, and it cuts back in, and cuts out, and cuts back in. It's annoying. I don't like it. Anyway, I zoned out there for a second. I don't know how long I was out of it just now. I guess less than a minute. What was I going to say next? So, in the next coming weeks, expect to see a few more videos here and there of me, playing video games. Like, other video games other than Star Fox Adventures. And if you've played Star Fox Adventures, you know that at the pace I'm going... It's going to take me like a year to get through this game. Just because... And the thing is, I want to get this out there. I'm not playing any of this up. I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And that's actually... As I think back and remember when I first started playing this game, that's how it was when I started playing. It was entirely, where the hell am I supposed to go? And it's not that I'm not paying attention, because I'll admit, there have been times that I haven't paid attention, but it's like, no, you're expected to just know where it is you're supposed to go. Because they don't tell you. Because they didn't write the script to tell you. And the writers are just awful. And so, you end up searching for half an hour for a... fuel barrel canister thing that you're supposed to pick up and throw at a wall. And, it's supposed to be relatively easy to find, but it's hidden behind a wall, and if you don't look behind that wall, you don't find it. And the first time I played the game, back when I was, 17, 18 years old, I spent about half an hour looking for that same exact fuel cell. Fuel barrel, because the fuel cells are those little energy ball things. The fuel barrel, the fuel canisters. You spent half an hour looking for the exact same thing. And I spent easily, like 2 hours trying to beat that racing segment. Well, I guess you'll see that later. That's going to be episode 6. Anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about very shortly. It took me so many tries to get through this segment, and I did it a lot faster this time than I did when I was, 17, 18 years old, because I remembered, all this little chicanery that the game throws at you to try and keep you from winning this little segment. It's not even a mini game. It's just, if you don't beat this, you can't finish the game. If it were a mini game, that would be acceptable. If it were something that was like, oh, you failed this time, but here's Prince Tricky. I mean, whatever, sure, but no, you have to beat this segment in first place to get Prince Tricky, and then you never have to do it again, ever. It's not even an option. You go back there, and when you warp back to the top of Ice Mountain, which you can do, you can warp back to the top of Ice Mountain. The only way to get away from there, other than warping back, is to take that little pod racer, or whatever the hell you want to call it, back down the mountain. But you don't race, you don't even drive it. You just get on it in the cave, and then you get off it at the bottom of the mountain. There's just, they didn't even think to put that into the game as a part of the game. But anyway, if that was part of it, that would have been acceptable, but it wasn't, and they didn't think it through. So I get kind of pissed off about that segment. But anyway, if you've seen it, if you've played the game, at the pace I'm going, it's going to take a long-ass time. I may end up stopping in the middle and playing something else for a little while, because it will get annoying and tedious otherwise. I'm going to get through like 90 episodes at least before I get anywhere useful. Just because there really is so much to this game. It's ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. So at some point I may stop playing Star Fox Adventures, just because it gets annoying and monotonous. I'll probably return to it later, because I can. But in the meantime, I'll do whatever I do. You'll see what I do. I know I was going to say something else, and I'm spacing horrendously at this point, because it is now 4:15. I was going to say something, and I've completely spaced on it. So, I guess... Oh, I remember now. I was going to say that I now have 3 subscribers, which is fantastic. I'm really happy that I have 3 subscribers. I know one of them is me. But, the fact that the other 2 are 2 other people, to me, it's really cool, because it's like, oh, people are actually watching my videos now. And, some of my videos have, like, 15 views, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it actually is, when I've not really been advertising this all that much, except for on Twitter. So that's kind of neat, and I'm glad that you thought enough of this channel to want to subscribe, so thank you, and I hope that I'm entertaining enough to warrant continuing to watch my videos. I hope that eventually I'll get good enough that, people will tell their friends about me and talk about me and whatnot, and I know I'm not nearly that good right now. I'm trying to get better. And as my equipment gets better, I know it will improve as well. So, look forward to a high-def video tomorrow. Look forward to, I guess today. You'll see it shortly after this video goes up. Look forward to another video game at some point in the near future, probably within the next week. And look forward to... Oh, that's another thing. I actually ordered, finally, the HDMI capture card. So hopefully then, in the very near future, I can start doing HDMI videos. Or videos capturing the HDMI outputs of my PS3 and my Wii. And therefore, being able to do videos with that video. And like I said, I've been writing up the scripts for these top 10 videos and that kind of thing. So hopefully you'll see something along those lines in the near future as well. I'm really crossing my fingers that the first one will be able to, that I'll be able to do the first one within the next month. I don't know that I'll be able to, but I'm really crossing my fingers. I need to get, and this is something I've been fretting over for the past year and a half, and I just haven't been able to do it. I need to go up to Socorro. It's a city in the middle of New Mexico. If you're not familiar with it, it's not that spectacular. But it's where I lived for 10 years. And I ended up leaving my Super Nintendo there in the care of a very good friend of mine. And I need to go and get it back in order to do these videos. So at some point I need to do that. I don't remember that... I mean, I know some of these videos are going to need... Well, I guess that one's going to need it too. That one's not. I guess I can do that one first. You'll see what that one is later. You'll see what all of them are later at some point, but I may end up just having stock footage used for some of these, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather use footage that I collect. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't know when I'll be able to get up to Socorro. My car has been just really, really in a bad way lately. And of course, Socorro, it's a 3.5-hour drive from here, one way. Which means that if my car breaks down on the way there, I'm shit out of luck. And that's why I've kind of been putting off going anywhere near that far away for the past almost year now. I've not been to Socorro in actually about a year. But the last time it broke down hardcore like that, it was on my way to El Paso, which is actually a lot closer. So I'm still really wary of making that trip. But I need to make it, obviously, in order to get my system back, and in order to get a lot of other stuff back that was left in the care of this friend of mine who has made it abundantly clear I need to get my stuff out of their possession. But anyway, that's future stuff that hopefully will come to pass in the near future as opposed to the far future. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and stop here because we're already 41 minutes into this stupid video, and I've been rambling this whole time. And I know very few of you are actually all that interested in all this, but if you are, thank you. You know, I hope, again, that I've been entertaining. I hope that I've been a little bit elucidating as to what I've been doing. And I hope that I've given you something to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed yet, you know, if you really like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to, I mean, it's not going to help me at all except get my name out there. That was the cat. But I'm not getting paid for this. This is entirely voluntary. But at the same time, you know, it would be, I think it would be a lot of fun to have, you know, more viewers, and I want to entertain people, so that's why I did this channel in the first place. So if you want to subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe. I promise to try my best to entertain, and that's all I can promise. But other than that, if you like any of these videos, please comment. I want to know what you like about them. I want to know what you don't like about them. I do. If you tell me what I don't like, if you tell me what you don't like about them, then I can fix that in the future and not do whatever it is you didn't like so much, or, you know, do something else that you would rather see. That kind of thing, you know, or unless it's like, I don't like Star Fox Adventures. In which case, you know, if you don't like Star Fox Adventures, that's fine. Or if you don't like whatever other game I'm playing, that's fine too. Go ahead and vocalize it. I don't care. I'll read it. I'll look at it, and I may even respond, because at this point, like I said, there's only 3 subscribers to this channel, and one of them is me. So, you know, if you want to vocalize why you don't like a particular game that I'm playing, or even a game I'm not playing, whatever you want to vocalize, go ahead and do it, and I'll read it. Whatever, it's fine. And I'll probably comment because I'm lonely and bored and have nothing better to do. That's not true. I have plenty of other things that are better than this, but I want to do this, so whatever. And go ahead and leave likes on the videos too. I haven't gotten any of those yet. So if you're, if you really like a video, go ahead and like it. You don't have to favorite it or anything. You don't have to add it to one of your personal playlists or anything like that. But give it a like if you like it. Tell your friends if you like it. If you think that it's worth telling your friends about. If you don't, tell your friends that it's crap. And that way, hey, negative advertising is still advertising, right? But until next time, I will see you later. And I don't want to rip off Markiplier here because I want to say, I want to see you in the next video. Bye-bye! But that's not what I'm going to do. So I will, you will hear me in the next video because I won't see you, obviously. But, yeah, I'm completely flubbing this up. I need to come up with a good, closer. Bye! Bye-bye!